Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fandom Flux Podcast, episode 116. We are coming to you pre-recorded from New Year's Eve / day
For me.
for Hugh, who is in Australia and thus is an hour past midnight.
We're
So
one away from 117. That we can be Halo.
now you've said it, I'm going to have to start the episode with the Halo theme. You realize that?
Yes.
I'm totally okay with that. Okay, so I'm your host, Casey, as per usual, and with me we have Zero.
Hey everybody, how you doing?
Guy.
Hello, and I still haven't thought of a good way of introducing this.
And on his guest appearance, Hugh.
I had to cancel my New Year's plans to be here.
Your plans of napping?
His
Yep.
New Year's plans
They
were
are
napping.
very important to me.
Guy, your mic is getting a bit louder for some reason.
I'm not sure why. I haven't moved.
Don't know. But if you could set up a hotkey for muting your mic or just have your finger on the button,
Right.
that'd be good.
Will do.
The fuck are you doing?
I think he's trying it, but it's more of a I think it sounds like a toggle or something.
No.
What's happening? Can you hear me?
On the call, there is a microphone mute button.
I'm pressing the mute button on.
Yeah, don't do that because it's just spazzing out your audio.
Right, okay.
So just click the button. There's 3 buttons. It's the one on the left. That
Really?
mutes your
I have 4
microphone.
buttons.
It's 4 buttons. It's one in the middle left.
Right, okay.
Whatever.
That
It's
just
the one
sounds
with the
like he
microphone.
cuts out. It sounds like the whole call's over.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, technical difficulties. Yay.
Yeah, this is a great start. Yeah. Fuck it, I'm leaving it in. Have you found the button, Guy?
Yes.
I think the fact that the fuzz keeps cutting out means he has found it.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Just remember to unmute yourself if you want to talk.
Got it.
keep in
That's
mind.
what I was doing wrong there.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So, as per the usual schedule for this thing, because it might be New Year's, but fuck it, we're still doing the same thing. We're going to start with what we're doing. So, what have we been doing? Zero, you go first. You were on holiday and shit.
Yeah. So Christmas happened.
Yeah, it did.
I got some stuff for Christmas. I got this nice silver cross that I'm now wearing around my neck. It's got like 2 small black diamonds embedded in it. It looks really cool. It makes me feel like I'm a Quincy.
Does it repel vampires?
Yeah, and
Does it repel hollows?
I'm hoping that when the time comes, it will, but I don't know. It's made of silver, at least. I request it to be made of silver specifically,
With
because
those
that way,
gems, like a double-sided one, or is it like different? Like is it metal? Like the point across is like a gem on both sides, or is it like one up at the top, or where are they
it's
placed?
like in the middle where the cross meets.
Yeah,
You
on
know,
both sides.
it's like right in the middle. There's like 2 gems diagonal to each other.
Okay.
It's got kind of like these lines across it. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but it looks like a Quincy thing,
Okay.
and I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah,
As long as you hubbok doesn't come from my butt. Um, also, let's see. I got I got Star Wars Battlefront. I haven't played it yet because I've been out of town. Steam sale was going on, so I went.
It was shit.
I bought Fairy Fencer F, which is an anime
yes.
game, I guess.
I played that on the PlayStation. It's not as bad as it's all right. It's all right.
It's good. They reuse a lot of assets, but
Yes.
at the same time, the grinding once you get to a certain point is mindless, and you don't really even have to grind. I grinded and made myself ridiculously overpowered because this game apparently was made for babbies. So, like the difficulty is not what I'm used to. Like
Oh,
I'm
if you
level
want,
4. I'm like level 48, and I go into the tower, and there's like a level 60 recommended level for this monster, and I just kind of beat it easily at level 48. I'm just kind of like, I guess my optimization went a little bit too far.
Hmm.
Um, so fun game. I enjoyed the story, which is really what you play that game for.
Yeah.
So, um,
What was that called? Fairy Fencer F?
yeah.
Yeah.
I also went and bought The Witcher 1, the first Witcher.
That was a mistake.
Yeah, it was $1.20. It was $1.25 that I wasted.
It was a very cheap mistake then, at least.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, The Witcher 1 is not a fun game to try and play.
I tried it out. I played for about an hour and then I uninstalled it. So
Not even worth leaving on the hard drive.
it took like so long to download, and I was downloading at 5 MB per second. Humongous game, boring game, and hard to play with a controller. As in, you can't play with a controller at all unless you like do
No,
special.
because there are specific different fighting styles and stances and such things that you need to use at specific times
Despite the
that you
fact
need
that
to
you,
shift in.
despite the fact
Yeah.
that the directional pad on the 360 controller could totally handle those styles.
Hmm.
I don't know. I never touched Witcher one, so I
And,
won't.
and it was just so hard to get out of the items menu. Like I had to actually go and press I, and I'm like, I hate that. Why not just give me a button on the screen to click with my mouse to actually leave the items menu? It was just clunky. I didn't like it. I'll probably try the second one because that's on sale for like $2. So it's kind of a more of a why not type of thing.
Mm.
Um, on top of that, I headed down south to meet with family and everything. So that was
Hmm.
about a 8 hour drive down to Southern California. And I met with family. I met with friends of the family, my uncle Todd, Aunt Leslie. They have a beach house, so that's always fun. Whether it's a beach apartment condo thing.
Oh, is this the wealthy uncle or?
No, they're not really my aunt and uncle. They're just friends of the family that I've known since I was a baby.
Oh, right. Okay.
Um, so
So this is the one. This is the uncle that your mum brought over when your dad was out.
no,
Hmm. Okay.
no.
It's a deep cut there, Hugh.
Uh, so we hung out there, went around all the different shops and everything, down by the beach. It was really like it was cold, but it was California cold, so it was tolerable, very tolerable. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure you were miserable in your 80-degree weather.
Not 80, it was more like 60, but still, it was California
Oh,
cold.
I don't even know what fucking
is that
Cal.
all? 60? Hmm.
I don't
Up
even know
north,
what
up
Cal.
north,
Meanwhile, I just came in from fucking pissing rain and storm.
uh,
I felt my face literally freezing, but I'm so sorry you were
I'm
inconvenienced
not.
by your
I
60
didn't say. I didn't
degrees.
say I
You
was
know,
inconvenienced at all. I'm just saying it was California cold.
I think I'm just
Up
gonna
north,
enjoy my
up
Australia
north right
summer.
now. At home, I went outside and the layer of the grass was frozen, so it's like it was about 30-ish degrees out this morning, up north.
Wow, how did you possibly survive that?
I don't know. I quickly got out of it. um, but after that, we went and we visited my uncle, and not the rich uncle, but the one with my cousin who has autism. Um, we got to hang out with them. That was fun. I played Smash Brothers with my little cousin, which is always a little fun. He has a small place, so it was a little bit awkward trying to you know like they had an inflatable bed thing that they blew up, and I totally grabbed that and just kind of slept on it. And my little brother slept in the armchair. It was
I've done
reclinable.
that. That's not comfortable.
It was a reclinable armchair, so like you could have
Oh,
footrest,
that's not so
you
bad
could
then.
lean back, so it was fine. After that, we went down to the place where my grandmother was, and I mentioned that my grandmother has had some health issues. Mainly, she has like Alzheimer's and whatnot. She didn't recognize me or any of my family,
Uh,
so she was very thin, and she would just start kind of shouting random things and then break out into incoherent babble. So
yeah.
yeah, I didn't recognize her at first. I'd never seen her like that because the last time I saw her, I missed the chance to go with the rest of my family before. So the last time I saw her, she was actually healthy. So it was a bit of a shock. Um, so yeah, that was we met with my cousins and my aunt from the richer side of the family, and we went out to this Italian place afterwards. Got something to eat. Uh, yeah, I got like they gave me a game, like a card game, which is okay. That's a Christmas present. I mean, it's like it's called, I can't say the word. It's called this. And it's fun, I guess. Played it for like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Um, they gave me $25 to Fandango as a gift card, and I'm like, why? Fandango? I mean, that's ordering movies basically, getting movie tickets online
Oh,
to go
right.
to the movies. Which,
Also, the card game he was talking about is called Smartass. He can't say it, but I can.
yeah,
So.
my own restrictions on my tongue.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, it was like we had a 8 hour drive back, which turned into a 9 hour drive, and we had to do that yesterday. Also, we kind of we so my aunt and uncle, Aunt Leslie and Uncle Todd, they got hooked up with this thing that allows them to basically just stream movies that are pretty much free and stolen onto their TV. We
Okay.
found The Force Awakens on there as filmed by somebody with a camera in the movie theater. It was so horrible. We also I hope the cops don't arrest me for this. We saw The Revenant, which isn't even out yet. So that's the one with Leonardo DiCaprio and like
I'm gonna warn you now that I'm not gonna be cutting any of this at this point because I don't care anymore.
yeah.
So,
I
you
don't
want
think
to
that's
talk
even
about the
legal.
illegal stuff that
Like,
you're doing? You go ahead.
Hey, it wasn't me. We were in their house. They were the ones streaming it. But we
yeah, but you were partaking. You were a party too.
hey, I'm a victim here.
I'm sure the cops are knocking on your door now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are. But it was a good movie. Very illegal. At one point, it said property of Fox. Do not download, do not upload, distribute, or share. Now we were like, oh, somebody in Fox really broke that rule.
Oh,
Uh,
Yeah.
so other than that, I got home late last night. I haven't really done much. I'm off work for today and tomorrow at least. So I'm gonna see if I can get anything from the Steam sale that's actually worthwhile. Maybe Witcher 2, because that's like $2, and why not? And that's it for me.
Okay. Guy, it's been a while since you've been on, so
Yes.
hi.
Yeah. Hi. Uh, have you ever had one of those periods where you've been really, really busy, but then when you come to actually describe what you've been doing, you can't really answer that very well? It's yeah.
Yeah,
There's been a lot of work, and then Christmas, and then prepping up for a lot of work again, I guess. Oh, I got a new computer, by the way.
oh nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, that was brief.
yeah,
Okay.
so
What did you want me to say?
If you could tell us about that time you jumped over a shark with water skis, that'd be cool.
Ah, that was boring, honestly. It was barely even a big shark, not even a great white.
Hmm.
oh, so like grey
I'm
nerve,
not sure
white
why I went
ranger.
for. I was going for interesting story, and my mind immediately went to the fucking Fonz and the worst moment in TV history. I don't know how that happened. Um, Hugh, the fuck have you been doing since you were last on, which was like a year ago?
Whoa, what? Where do I begin?
I know. Yeah,
A
guy
fucking
in
year's
Minecraft.
worth. Ooh. Uh, I'll limit it to the last month. I'll summarize for the last overall year.
Okay.
Got bored of tax, left, couldn't find another job, decided, well, I have to go back to study. Been studying. That sums up pretty much the most of the year. And then
Okay.
fast forward to about a month ago now. Where wakeboarding, fucked up my back, something really fierce. Bedridden pretty much ever since. It's been lovely. Uh,
Okay.
I tried, I don't know, it's giving me a lot of shit for a couple months, and then I twinged it at wakeboarding. I was like, all right, now I should probably do something about this. Is getting out of hand.
Mm.
Booked a chiro appointment a couple of days later, and that same day he just gave out while I was at work and just cracked onto the floor. I was like, well, okay, I need somebody to come get me now.
Mm.
And no, it was good fun. And the doctors keep saying, don't fucking move. And I'm like, well, the thing is, I need to keep working to afford these treatments. So that's not going to work for me.
Mm.
It's like a lovely catch-22 moment where I have to keep working to pay, which just makes it worse. So I have to have more treatments. It's lovely.
God, I love the NHS.
Oh, I do, but they don't. The place I'm going, they don't do bulk billing, so I have to pay up front and then have to seek shit later. So I actually have to have the money. It's
Oh.
like $150 a session, and I have to go twice a week. It is
Oh.
a costly venture, but that's
Yeah.
because I don't know what I've been doing for the last few months. But I did something like finally that fully twisted a bunch of my vertebrae, like the actual bones, like just like fully spun at the base of my back, which is lovely.
Mm.
Yeah, man, that's been my last few months. And actually no, my brother was meant to be my butler to help me. He has been missing at his friend's house for the last 8 days. It has been impossible to get food. I have survived on whatever snacks I have had within arm's reach. So yeah, it's bad.
Right.
More interesting than getting a just a new computer.
Hmm.
It's a nice computer.
Uh, but yeah,
Nice one. That's
I'm sorry, but
that
yeah,
was very good comedy timing. That was good.
yeah, it was
Mm.
good luck. But yeah,
Yeah.
been about it. Chilling in bed, trying to work, and then fucking it up again, coming back to bed. Fun times. Oh, and all the games. I
Mm.
picked up I got my brother before he disappeared to pick up all my pre-orders that I haven't been able to get. That was a
Yeah.
lovely day. Like Xenoblade Chronicles, Rainbow Six, which is amazing, and four other ones that I haven't even opened yet. Like the new Sword Art game, which I'm iffy about, but I thought I'd try anyway. Yokai Watch, which actually is shit, by the way. Do not buy. But yeah.
I've heard there's one person I know who just loves Yokai Watch. Like it's the greatest thing ever. And then everything I look at for Yokai Watch, I'm like, I would never enjoy this game.
Yeah, I got sold on it because like it's kind of thinking it's like the new big Pokemon, and I love Pokemon. It's like one of my favorite things, just mostly nostalgia based. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. I just can't enjoy it. I just don't like.
It's kind of a babby game.
Yeah, I did not make it. Like, I played like half an hour. I was like, I just can't take it. I'll give it a go, like another go later when I'm done playing everything else. But it's very far down the to do list at the moment.
Hmm.
I got enough stuff to do. What I do? Christmas, oh, of course, as Zero was saying. Only thing of note, my brother got me a new hard drive because my other ones were all full up. So he hit me with a four terabyte to start shuffling more anime onto, which is going to be great. So I can start updating my collection again, which is going to be lovely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
Aside from speaking of Christmas, I got a bunch of nerd shirts. That was the other thing I got. I got like shirts from all different fandoms and everything. I got a Smash Brothers shirt, and I'm wearing one shirt that says "Live every day like you're Batman." It has like a outline of Batman on it, or just so, yeah. So
So brood in a cave for like 8 hours a
so
day,
it was
and then
just like I'm
go out and beat people up in the streets at the
so
night.
just like
And
sit on a couch and say, "Where's the remote? Where is it?" Stuff like that.
your family hates you now, don't they?
No, they love me.
Hmm.
We make
That's why
Batman
I
jokes.
didn't drag that word out.
My family is a lot like me. So you have to understand that I do
Oh
that, and
God, there's more of
then my
him.
dad would join in, or something like that. Me and my dad have a very similar sense of humor, and I got my sense of humor from him. So my family's a fun family. Casey's in
Okay.
shock.
So you could be going, "Where's the remote?" And he will go, "I have this remote, but it's just not the one you need right now.
He or,
This isn't the remote you
or,
need.
or,
It's the
or,
one you deserve."
or he'd echo that with, "Alfred, where's the remote?" And I'm like, "Alfred, where is it?" We're just a bunch of goofs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Or he'd tell you about the time he went to Burma and there was a guy that was setting fires places. There was no particular reason, just he
Hey,
wanted to
my mom
see
married
the
my dad
world burn.
because he was funny. So
Hmm. Oh, okay. So he doesn't make any of these jokes then. Good. Good to know. Right.
oh, come on.
Ooh, sorry.
Anyway, what about you,
Hmm.
Casey?
What
Yeah.
did I do? Christmas was presents were good that I gave to people. I mean, that
Not the
was
ones you got.
I got a bathroom cabinet which I've been needing, so that's kind of cool.
Mm.
Get that sorted. Um, Aside from that, yeah, just fine. Uh, Good Christmas dinner. Apparently, can I ask a question?
Mm.
Yeah.
Christmas dinner, Yorkshire puddings or not?
Yes.
Yes. Definitely yes.
Good.
Christmas
We're
dinner, I
English. We
have
have to have them.
lasagna.
Just like pigs in blankets, you have to have them.
For Christmas dinner, I had lasagna.
Zero doesn't count.
Yeah.
Italian family, yay. It was my grandma's recipe.
Yeah, but
Okay.
not. It's not Christmas dinner. You could have that any meal throughout the year. That's not a Christmas dinner meal.
It's a
Yeah,
special family recipe.
I was gonna make a point about how it shouldn't make a goddamn bit of difference what you have with your Christmas dinner, but yeah, that's completely undermined by the fact that Zero has lasagna, and who has lasagna for Christmas dinner?
An Italian family.
That's not good enough. I'm sorry.
It's good lasagna. We have some lasagna. We get some sparkling apple cider. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in you.
You know what? I'm happy with it. Everybody's happy with it. And if my grandma heard you say that, she would slap the crap out of you.
I will
Hmm.
say it to her face.
My grandma's from Jersey. She's gonna beat you up.
Yes, well, I'm an Englishman. I will look down on her as she does it.
Uh, I'm,
And you will maintain a stiff upper lip throughout.
I will.
I'm
Hmm.
Oh.
surrounded by Englishmen. They don't understand the joy of lasagna for Christmas.
I like lasagna. Lasagna is good. Not for
I
Christmas.
never.
Christmas, you have something. You have a roast. You have chicken. You have turkey. You have.
Lamb,
Apparently, you're not
pork,
supposed to have poultry.
it's
You're not
so much.
supposed to have poultry. You're supposed to have.
We had like
I honestly
some
don't.
nice ham and everything for Christmas Eve, but Christmas is lasagna. That's just how it works.
What? You got it the wrong way around.
No, that's no, no.
What that's how it's always been done in my family.
Your family. Well, yeah, I was going to say it's weird, but we already knew this.
Yeah, it
Your
is,
family's crazy bananas.
but we're fun, crazy bananas. That's all
But
that
then there's a
matters.
point where crazy starts outweighing the fun, and what you have just said is it really towed the line.
Mm.
You guys are butts. Never have any fun. You always eat your roasts for Christmas. Try some lasagna, some family recipe, homemade lasagna.
How often do you have a roast dinner?
Uh, Not often enough, in my opinion, but we have them.
Well, there you go.
It's a special day.
For like
Treat
things.
yourself.
Well, we had a Christmas Eve. I was content. And lasagna was pretty good.
Oh my god. There's this Philistine. Utter Philistine.
Mm.
This
But
this,
yeah,
this
I
makes
had
them
a
so
a
surly, and
full
I can't
Christmas dinner
understand why.
because you're insane. Yeah, so I had a full Christmas dinner at my parents', so that was cool. Um, Aside from that, the Steam sale happened. It was shit. Uh, yeah, no flash sales means there's no fucking point to it anymore. I don't even care. I can't even buy pointless shit to just sit in my Steam library until I feel like giving it a shot because it's not worth it anymore. Like it's just not. That the flash sale stuff was great for getting people to buy your shit so they can spread word of mouth so people will buy it when it's expensive as well.
Hmm.
But now they're just not doing that anymore. So great. You just dropped your sales by a bunch for no reason. Um yeah, so Steam sale was shit. I have been continuing to very slowly chew my way through Dragon Age Inquisition. I played for 3 hours yesterday night, and I spent the entire 3 hours just talking to people. Like, just wandering around the base, talking to all of my companions. That's literally how I spent 3 hours of that game. I
You don't have to do any of that. You can always just go play the main quests only if you wanted to.
could, but then what's the fucking point?
Well, what's the point in spending 3 hours walking around?
Well, he's
Well,
talking to people.
it's fine. It's just a matter of like pacing it out, and I just wasn't. I just talked to everyone for a bunch
Oh, did you kind of
because
like not talk to them for a while, so you saved up a bunch of like the cinematic conversations?
well, once you first get to Skyhold, which is the second base that you have,
Hmm.
a bunch of new conversations start opening up.
Yeah.
So if you've done a bunch of stuff and you've gotten their approval up a bunch, then yes, they will have a bunch to say to you when you make that transition.
Yeah,
So
that's the issue. I had that as well.
mm,
But I didn't. I did not binge. I kind of did it piecemeal.
I decided to just get it out of the way.
Mm.
I have pretty much decided that I'm just not going to talk to Vivienne anymore because she's a bitch.
Oh, but you'll never
Like,
see how why and I got nothing. That
I don't really care why. I mean, she is contrary to literally every opinion that I have in the game. So anytime I talk to her, she just gets pissed at me. So what's the fucking point? Hmm. So that's slowly going. I cleared a bunch of stuff off of my hard drive so that I can actually. No, that's not true at all. I cleared a bunch of stuff off my hard drive so I could play Star Wars: The Old Republic again. That's basically it. I just wanted to reinstall that so I can play it when I'm bored.
mm.
So that is once again on my hard drive. God damn it! I'm never going to be able to escape. Thankfully, it's a good game, so I don't really care.
I've been thinking of playing that one again too, actually. That's
Yeah,
kind of on my to-do list.
you played it before?
Yeah, once.
It's cool. It's cool beans. They've streamlined a lot of stuff, so it's a lot easier to play. Like there is a lot less time wasting. Like the traveling, you can fast travel to any of the fast travel points like immediately. And so you don't have to wander around so you can unlock all of them before you can get anywhere. And they've multiplied the amount of XP you get so you don't have to faff about doing grinding or doing any of the pointless side quests.
Weren't you complaining about that a while ago?
I was, but only because I was playing a completionist style, as in going around and doing everything. And if you do everything, you get massively overleveled. So if you just want to do the really fun bits, then yeah, you can do fine. You don't have to do anything else. Uh, aside from that, what the fuck did I do aside from that? Oh yeah, I fucking read a bunch of stuff. Yeah, just sort of trawling through some of the fandoms that I look at and just read a bunch of different fics, just going through normally rather than the usual search strings that I go through. I found a few good ones, so yay! I have recommendations in the queue again. Woo! I think that's pretty much it for what I've been doing for the past week. So yeah. So this is the New Year's episode of this podcast
What?
because we're recording it on New Year's Eve/day. So the next topic on the list is what has defined your year this year. We're not doing like game of the year or like film of the year or any of that stupid crap. Just what was particularly significant to you this year?
That's a big question.
I know how to answer it, so does anyone else?
Yes, I do. I
Okay.
uh,
Hugh, take us away.
for me, the biggest moment, the biggest like affecting moment would be actually not a personal thing, but like rather macro event, which was Australia's data retention laws kicking in, because that meant I had to start VPNing everything I had to do online to prevent the amount of targeting I do getting tracked, which was a fucking pain in my ass. That would be
Uh,
my defining moment, trying to do all that, doing all the shit to try and block that and whatnot. In fact,
fair
fucks
play.
government.
Yeah.
That would be my defining moment. That because that's just a pain. It's just so it's just such a pain. The words I do not have them. But yeah,
Hmm. Okay. Anyone else got one?
Um,
If no, then just say no and I'll do mine so you have time to
well,
think.
No.
this year for me, I guess it was kind of a transitioning type of year. Um, like I was kind of dealing with school and all sorts of things, and now I've kind of I said on the last podcast that I believe I said I switched my major, the last one or
Mm.
the one before it, um, so that I'm going to be focused on English, and that was probably the biggest moment of my year because it's basically me saying, "Screw being a businessman, I want to do what I love." So, yeah, that's about all I got to say on that. English woo.
Yay, English. Again, I still hate you for reasons explained previously.
And again,
Um,
you're still going to live vicariously through me.
yes. My defining thing for the year would be our Let's Play of Pokemon Blaze Black 2.
Oh, really?
Oh my god. That fucking thing. We started in January and finished in, what was it, October, November?
Oh, yeah. Mm.
Oh, that literally defined my entire year because a ridiculous amount of my time revolved around recording and editing and uploading that fucking thing. My god.
You don't need to
we
sound so
appreciate
excited.
the effort.
Oh, man. That was fun, though.
It was
It
fun,
ended on
but
a great
oh,
note. And by that
it
I mean
did.
screw you still. I'm still angry about that. If you haven't seen the Pokemon Let's Play, and you have like all of next year free, go for it.
Let's be
I'm probably
sure.
going to do some highlights videos at some point, but I've said the same thing about the podcast, and we have basically the same amount of content between the podcast and the Let's Play that it's probably just as empty words
Honestly,
as
you should just honestly, if you're gonna post highlights, you should just post them. You should just go to like where we know there were events, that were really big, and then just post one at a time rather than just trying to compile all of them.
Hmm. Like, I'm probably going to do one for the Riolu thing.
You gotta do one for Roxy.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Nah. Anyway, yeah. So
that was
that
the movie
defines
theater
my year.
stuff too.
Oh god.
When we came upon the truth of our character,
Thanks, Lisa.
he defined the direction that went. And if you don't know what we're talking about, you should be very happy that you don't.
Hmm. Anyway, Guy, do you have one yet?
No, not really. Can't really think of anything.
Okay.
First,
Lame.
just computer, and now this. Get your act
Sorry, just don't like talking about myself, I guess.
Okay, so we're on to the writery topics. So the first writery topic is basically all of these topics are new, based on like starting things and such, because New Year, woo, and such. Um, First topic is introducing your story. Now, to clarify, that doesn't mean how to open your story. It means if you should introduce your story before the story starts, like have an author's note at the beginning saying such and such and such and such and such, this is my story, etc. And if you do, what should that author's note say?
All right. So I'm personally against putting an author's note right at the beginning. I don't like it. If I see it, it tends to be a bad sign. However, I have seen good stories that start with an author's note at the beginning.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily a sign of a bad thing. Does it discourage me personally? Yeah. But at the very least, I would recommend you put it at the end of the chapter because what people are there for is they're there to read the story and get their impressions first, rather than you saying, "Oh, hey everybody, how you doing? This is my new story." You can do author's notes that are not quite as conversational, and I find those tend to go for better than
Hmm.
uh,
I find I prefer to let my story speak for itself
yeah,
and then uh, try and maybe justify things that I expect people to have problems with
yeah,
in an author's note at the end of the chapter rather than at the beginning.
yeah.
Um,
It's just the beginning is a little bit like you looked at the summary for the story, you picked that story specifically because you want to read it, and then
mm,
you're met with an author's note. You kind of just want to get to the story. Most people will probably skip it anyways.
yeah, starting with an author's note smacks of not having confidence in what you've written.
Well,
That you need to justify it before they even read word one.
well,
To me,
I would say there's a
I,
go
lot
on.
of people that don't have confidence in what they're writing, really.
Yeah, and
It's,
in certain circumstances, it does make sense. Like if it's someone's first story,
Yeah,
it is probably a very good idea to open right away with "This is my first story."
yeah. Give people some forewarning. One
Mm.
thing I don't like is when you have a long opening author's note.
oh yeah, you can really overdo it. I've seen authors
It,
notes that are just
if you want to start with an author's note,
Yeah,
make it brief, make it quick, because you want people to get onto the story and read it and form their impressions.
yeah. I basically brought up this topic because I say I read a story. I looked at a story, uh, saw the author's note at the beginning, read about 2 paragraphs of it,
that's too long.
saw there were like 6 more of just the author's note, and was like, no, no,
I know
just wasn't worth
I
it.
know
Yeah.
this is kind of cruel to say, but people don't care about you. They care about the story.
Mm.
And if you want them to care about you specifically, endear them with your story. Don't
Yeah.
try to talk to them and say, "Hey, everybody, this is my new story." And oh man, I worked so hard on this emoji and everything. It's no.
Yeah, and then you're gonna have the characters talk to you in the author's
Oh, I
note.
hate that.
What the?
I
Hate that one.
actually hate that because like
I can see they're
You
trying
don't even need to
to monetize
justify it.
on it.
There is
I just
no.
it just doesn't work 90% of the time. It's just point.
I get maybe later on you just throw in like a fun little bit at the end of one chapter and never do it again. I'd be like, okay, I'm okay with that. But if you
But a
just
running
start with
gag.
that and you have that go for every chapter,
Yeah.
And it's never funny. Yeah.
yeah, that's
I've
one
always
thing.
Like,
It's
like
never
no,
is
I have never read one that was entertaining.
no.
Not even funny, just entertaining in any way at all. Ever.
I skip
Never
them.
happened.
As
like
soon as I start seeing
at the very least, like because when people do this, when they have a conversation with them in the character, they always put it in the front of the chapter in the beginning, so you make sure you read it. If you put it at the end, at the very least, people can skip it. But no, at the
mm,
beginning.
it, yeah.
It's
I don't know. I'm on two minds. Like for the first chapter, I don't mind the author's note being there because I always find that they can put more information there than the pretty much 2 lines they can usually get in the summary thing, which generally tells you fuck all
yeah.
about the story itself.
When it's an expanded summary, I find it's okay.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. When it's more of a blurb than
Yeah,
just
when it's the
random
author
that
speaking and
because it's like it really gives you a hint. It's like, am I actually going to think? Yes, that 2 sentence thing was intriguing, but is
yeah,
this actually what I'm going for? And that is kind of what they can kind of put there
and
usually.
like I've seen
That
stories where
hint.
it's like they have the summary and they're like more in detail summary on the inside, and I'm like, okay, so that's what I am expecting. That is
Yeah.
gonna be some author's note with an expanded summary. I'm okay with that personally.
Hmm.
But when you just kind of drop the bomb and do your 6 paragraphs, or even just one big paragraph, introducing you and your story, and I mean you and your story, not just your story, but you and your story. It, mm, I don't
I
like
remember
that.
there was one author I can't I'd have to think for a second who it was, but they'd have like lengthy as shit like author's notes at the beginning of their chapter. The story was good, so it was kind of like jarring, but they'd have spoilers for the coming chapter
Oh
in that author's note.
yeah,
Just going,
I think
what?
I think I know which guy you're talking about. I can't remember though. It was
Who was it? Because it's
It's a big author.
twigging in with me as well, and I
It
can't
was
it
remember who it
Blessing,
was
was.
Gabriel
yeah,
Blessing
it
is
was
behind.
Gabriel Blessing. Yeah,
And it's like,
Oh yeah.
why? What are you doing, son?
and he always put
I remember reading In Flight, and I just
Yeah,
like I have to skip all of this.
yeah.
yeah,
Why are
that's
you
kind of
putting
strong.
this at
Though.
the
Where does the
beginning?
And
bold
like
text
sometimes
end?
you skip part of the story and you have to go back up and then you probably
Yeah.
catch like a little bit of a
You have to
spoiler.
pretty much spin past and just try and look out for where the bolded text ends.
Yeah, and
Otherwise, you
another
start
thing,
spoiling.
don't put spoilers for your story in the beginning of the chapter in the author's note. I'm just overall
Mm,
against author's notes in the beginning of the chapter. Like first chapter, you're a new
Why do you need
writer,
spoilers?
that's fine.
Why
You
do you
know,
need spoilers in the first place?
yeah,
Like,
I know.
well,
It's
I
it's
get it.
you're about
Sometimes
to read the
people
chapter.
can be
if you want to, if you
for some things it can make a bit of sense because some people are very picky with certain elements of a story. Like, for example, pairings.
yeah.
Hmm.
People can be very twitchy about
I
pairings and
feel like
such
that's
things.
And
justified.
honestly, I'd say have a author's note right at the end of the chapter. That's all you gotta do. Then you can discuss what happened in the chapter. And none of it's spoilery because by the time you get to that author's note, you've already read everything in the chapter. And if people accidentally scroll down to the author's note, well, it's like, oh man, that's my bad. It's not the author's fault because they expect you to have read everything before that.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what
But
about people? Sorry.
like putting it in the beginning of the chapter just no doesn't sit right with me. You're
What
saying,
about
guy?
what about people replying to reviews at the beginning of the chapter?
Ah, they should just send a sodding message about that.
I
It's like,
know. Yeah.
ah,
um, like because you have to skip past all that. Again,
mm.
it just it is
I
if you're
always
going
found,
to do that, if you're going to do that, that's fine when you don't have too many reviews to respond to. And I've had to deal with this where I just put it at the end of the chapter, and usually it's one of the last things I do. Uh, and then
If
I've recently stopped doing that. I just mainly reply via PM now.
if you get a lot of reviews asking about a certain thing, then yes, you can bring it up in a general sense of yeah, this is this or this is because of this and such things like that.
But individually replying to each review right in the beginning of the chapter,
That's
not good. Not like even if
it's
you only
borderline just inflating your word count, really.
which,
even if you
yes,
only
I was
have
going to
like
say,
3 reviews, it still doesn't sit right with me. It's better to put it at the end.
in building on Casey's point about it, junk everywhere it always makes it worse when you get like an email if the story you're following goes there's like 8,000 words, you're like yes, decent sized chapter, and you log and you go into it and there's like 2,000 words of it, just author's note and replies. You're like, well, now I'm just disappointed. Do I even really want to bother anymore?
Yeah.
You picked up my hopes and then you just shat on them.
Yeah, I'm going to
That
bring up the
makes
story that we
large chapters. And
tend to mention a little bit too much, but it's basically the dog that we kick every now and again at this point. But that one story that got someone really, really mad at me and Slicer.
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
was talking about that.
So one of the worst things about that story was the amount of words in the chapter versus how many words were actually in the chapter.
Mm.
Like that guy basically put a massive author's note at the beginning, followed by like half of the previous chapter as a previously on segment because those are worthwhile.
Okay, can we just stop there for a second? Don't do
With
previously on
no,
segments.
then 500 words of an actual chapter, and then another 500 words of author's note at the end.
Don't do previously on segments.
So it was supposedly a 3,000 word chapter that had about 500 words in it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I still feel justified about ripping that guy a new one. I think that was fair.
Previously on
previously on.
things, I've only encountered it once, and I think they do like 2 lines, which is like just kind of like
That's
and
perfect.
yeah, it's
2
enough.
or 3 lines that just say, "Hey, this is what happened last chapter," in case you forgot.
It's kind of like because the person kind of ended it always like on a note that was memorable. So like the first 2 or 3 lines would always be those final 3 lines from the previous one. So it just helped you like your mind kick into where you were without having to go back and read straight
That's
down to read
perfectly
part of the
fine.
chapter.
And
Yeah, I think
if that doesn't even help, then you realize, oh shit, I have no idea what's going on in the
Yeah.
story. I need to reread like the previous chapter or the last couple
Yeah.
of chapters. So
And again, that's on the reader.
yeah.
And if you're not, there is no need to include it previously on, because if you're looking at one coherent story, people will be able to understand it.
And if they want to see it previously on, hey, there's the previous chapter button right fucking there.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to include a few lines, but you really don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So, starting your chapter with an author's note. Please don't.
Generally speaking, don't.
Yeah.
If you have to, there better be a bloody good reason for it. Like, it is my first story, or I want to expand the summary, but I don't have enough space in the 2 lines that fanfiction.net gives me. Things like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just don't do it.
I think a lot of it's just new readers that aren't really comfortable with it. They try to justify things outside of the chapter, which is fine. It's just something people tend to get out of when they get a bit
It's
better.
it's a it's a simple mistake, and one that you can make early on. And I just make sure you don't do it, because it can kind of
It
push
can put people off.
yeah, it puts readers off immediately, actually. So you want to not do that as much as possible.
Okay. Next topic is the first chapter. So, I was kind of hoping Erickson would be here by now, but I guess he's not showing up. Oh well. So, first chapters.
First chapter.
What do you put in a first chapter? Not how do you start the story. What do you put in a first chapter?
I would say there's probably 2 different ways you can go about doing it. You can either do the exposition heavy one, or you can go straight into the action. Personally, I'm probably more of a fan of going straight into the action, but it's a lot of personal opinion in there.
Yeah, I mean,
Kind of that as well.
starting with just a lot of exposition, that's not drawing the reader in.
Yeah, you
So,
want to have some sort of hook, and whether that's be in you have a very unique type of setting, is one possible type of hook, or whether that's you having action and you have a very interesting character you want to start with.
Yeah, you can either introduce a plot and the action straight away, or you can introduce the characters and the setting and explain those a bit slower.
Yeah,
It's, the fast or slow pace,
the
whichever way
main
you do
character
it.
doesn't have to be introduced in the first chapter. However, I recommend that you do.
it less chance of an issue coming arising
Yeah, you want people to
if you're
know
not overly confident
who
when
the
you're
story
writing.
will be following, unless your story doesn't necessarily follow a single character. That's perfectly fine. In which case, you would focus,
You might then focus on
yeah,
just
setting or
I've completely forgotten the word expositing
yeah,
on the setting or
Mm.
uh, yeah, just whatever would be the most significant. Like a lot of stories are very, very centered around a protagonist, in which case you start with the protagonist. That is the important bit, get it out front. If it's not quite so focused on that one character, then you have a lot more freedom in how you would start the story.
I do a fun little thing where I don't necessarily give the name of the character until I've had them on like in a scene for a little bit, and then I
Oh,
have
when somebody else will mention them in dialogue or something like that.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Just so, you learn the name of the character and I don't have to tell you what it is like
yeah.
directly.
Yeah, that makes some amount of sense. Also, introducing characters is the next topic, Zero. But since you mentioned it,
Well, it was introducing the protagonist, I guess. It was the next step.
introducing characters like that makes some amount of sense. The only reason you would ever need to do otherwise is probably if you were having the story pseudo narrated by the character.
Yeah.
Then you would have to name them pretty much immediately.
But like first chapter, it's perfectly fine. You're gradually drawing people into the world,
Hmm.
and I find it best to just gradually give them the information, not just all in the first chapter, but enough to get
Mm.
their feet wet and to have them understand. Okay, this is what's going to be going on for this story. Because you really do want to set the tone and the mood for what you want to actually go for.
Let them want to learn about the setting before they have to learn about the setting.
Yeah, like say for example, your setting is in a fantasy world, that's at war. Who are the warring factions? Okay, now why the heck is this war going on in the first place? Maybe they want to figure that out. Or say, for example, you go with a very unique setting where everybody walks backwards and nobody knows why.
Hmm.
Now
Where did
you're
that
already
one come
intrigued.
from?
I just pulled that out of nowhere, but
I'd read
like,
that just to see what you could do with it.
and, and nobody really knows that they're walking backwards at
Let's
first.
see what you can do.
But you have one person that gets introduced that walks forwards. Like, something interesting that it kind of like intrigues them and wants they want to learn more about it. It's just like you have to leave enough information to the side that people want to look into it and learn on it on their own. I find that with Dark Souls, for example, there's a lot of people looking for lore and everything and piecing together the story because it's a rather interesting story. It's like the same type of deal in that you want people to be able to kind of discover more about your story as it progresses and other things. You don't want to just lay everything out on the table. So,
Well, I suppose it depends more on what the flow that you're aiming
yeah,
for in the story.
that's true.
Because, yeah, it's otherwise if you have to lay it out, it limits you to a very gradual flow. The
Yeah.
pacing just it's going slow right from the very beginning.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's more personal style than anything. I would say you can write a good story either way.
Yeah. You can completely you can have a lot of exposition in your first chapter, or you can completely ignore most of that exposition and have a lot of action and have a lot of character interaction. And then in the next chapter, you can go into more detail about where the heck these people are, and what the heck they're doing, and why.
Okay, I would say if you're going to have exposition in the first chapter, make it exposition about things that are important right the fuck now as
Yeah.
to what is happening right now in the story.
Yeah.
Necessary information.
Don't start with how the kingdom is like organized and what its fucking rival countries are and how they're all organized and what the fucking economic conditions are in such and such a place. No one cares. It's not important. What is important about this place that the characters are in, what they're doing, all these things like that.
There's a war
Why they're
going
doing
on.
it.
We're being hit by stuff. Run! You know, it doesn't even have to be that much exposition and just enough to understand. Okay, things are happening, things are going on. We need to do this, and we need to do it fast, or we need to do it, and if we don't do it, this might happen.
I'm not saying it has to be limited exposition like you're
Yeah,
saying. I'm saying
yeah,
it just
Just
has
the
to be
correct
relevant
yeah.
stuff.
to the here and now.
It does, and not necessarily limited, but at the same time, there is an appeal to having, I would say, limited exposition, in that it keeps if you're going with an actiony beginning.
Well, it gives you
Uh,
something to write on
Well,
later.
if it's
So,
an action story, then yes. If
yeah,
it's drama or romance, then no. You don't want it to be limited. You want to draw them in by
yeah.
what is interesting about the setting and characters and such things. So you don't want to just fire little bits and pieces of exposition
Yeah,
at people. You want to draw them in.
you're right though. It is a lot about relevance.
It reminds me kind of like what a lot of RPGs and fantasy games do. Like even the scroll over text on Star Wars. That's pretty much you've got to develop the
it just
world
lays
as
out the
soon as
setting.
possible.
Yeah, it
Get
just
people.
lays out this is what's happening and this is what's going to be
Like, or
happening. So
even
you
just
guys,
what's happened just prior to this exact moment.
yeah,
Can I
Be
just
briefly
say
on what is about to coming from this point onwards.
Can I just say how terrible that fucking text scroll is as a storytelling device at the beginning of Star Wars?
Yeah,
It's not
kinda.
great, but it's kind of their iconic thing now. So they
Yeah,
kind
it's
of stuck
classic.
with
That's
it.
not a
They're just kind of stuck with it now. It's like it's a thing that you associate with Star Wars because it doesn't really get done anywhere else
so
except
now
for parody.
because it's so bad. That's why it's.
It
Yeah, I
somehow
know,
it
but I'm just saying
worked.
it's like it's now their thing, and they kind of have it's kind of like
They can't get
so
away from it.
connected that
Yeah.
they're kind of stuck with it.
yeah. And to be honest, although it is poor, it does have its role.
But there's a lot of other things other than just Star Wars that do
Yeah.
does the exact same thing, though. Really, like
It
Oh
it
yeah.
doesn't mean it's good.
I would say
Starting
the
with a bunch
voiceover
of
narrative is pretty much a
from a
fairly.
movie standpoint. From a movie standpoint, starting with a bunch of text is not good.
No, that's the worst way to do it for a film.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously for a literary work, then
You want to
obviously that's
start with
fine.
text.
You kind of have to start with
But
text.
it's like if you were to novelize the original trilogy or whatever, starting with that bit of information in the beginning would be fine.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's perfectly
I
fine as an
disagree.
exposition dump at the beginning. Yeah.
I would
Okay.
disagree. Even in a literary sense, that's not how. I wouldn't say that's a good way to start a story.
He's got a point. You might have
Yeah.
that text
That's
scroll.
probably a
You'd have the
blurb
first
at
scene
best.
You'd
happen
have the first scene and then the text scroll
with
probably.
Darth Vader invading the ship and taking Leia prisoner. Then you have the text scroll.
Yeah, that would actually be a better way to organize it. But I from a film standpoint, film you want to be more visual than anything, and nothing's less appealing visually than
And
just
words.
text. Yeah,
It's about getting the hook right at the very beginning, getting
Mm.
people
yeah,
invested as soon as possible. And
and
it's a bit different when you come to writing than any other elements, but yeah, it's the same
yeah,
principle, I guess.
you want to have people interested from the get go.
I've always been like a fan in
That's
the way of.
that's a good way to think of it. Put the interesting thing at the beginning. Whether that's this character is really interesting and people will want to read about him. So this character goes right at the beginning. Or this setting is really interesting because there's a lot of I don't know political blah 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 going on. So we start with this, etc. You start with the most interesting thing about the
So
story.
either an interesting scene or an interesting character, pretty
Yeah,
much.
definitely. I would agree with
Like
that
for
one.
example, for interesting character, that Fairy Fencer F game I got. It starts with a scene where the main character is in a prison cell, and somebody's like, "Come on!" And like this fairy is like, "Come on, I'll get you out of here. I'll break you out." And he's like, "Nah, it's fine here. It's I got a place to sleep, and they give me free food. I could just stay here forever." We
That's
just kind of like,
very Oh,
That's a fun character.
that reminds me. Have you seen Legend of the Legendary Heroes? Because that guy reminds me of the main character from that a lot at the beginning.
I actually haven't seen that, but
Oh,
Oh.
so
I hear
recommended.
about it.
It is
Okay.
totally worth. But he's very same kind of thing. Like jail is fine. I get to nap and I get food. What more do I need?
You start with an interesting character. People want to see, okay, how will this character develop? I want to see where this character goes, and or generally, if the character's funny enough, people will want to read more about them because this is fun, this is entertaining.
Mm.
You can go the opposite way and have the character suffer through something tragic. Yeah,
Mm.
Depending on what story you're writing, I
depending on
guess.
depending on what type of story you're writing. Yeah, if you're writing a tragedy or whatnot.
Hmm. Tragedy, you don't start at the
Yeah,
lowest moment for
probably.
tragedy.
Yeah, you'd have that later, but um,
Start
like
with
for
maybe
example, Tokyo Ghoul in the first major chapter or the first episode of the thing, it goes from everything's happy normal to oh no, you're being attacked and you're being crushed, and oh no, you're not even really human anymore. And things go from
first
good to
episode.
bad really quickly.
Did that all happen in the first episode? I thought it was early second that he had the whole
I,
"I'm no longer
he
human" thing.
well, the second was no longer human, but the first one was he gets attacked and then he gets crushed and then he
Yeah,
wakes up
yeah,
in
yeah.
the hospital and everything's kind of
To be fair, that's
gross.
very common in anime settings anyway. Like where something like that happens, that's generally how they. If that happens in the show, that's generally will be the first episode kind of thing.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just like. But then again, anime is not overly original in the main like
yeah,
common sense.
Yeah. Well, the thing is about anime, once you know the tropes,
Yeah.
it starts to get a bit rote.
yeah.
Like, you know the
Mm,
deal about how this is all going to play out.
Well,
yeah.
you could say that about just about any genre or setting, couldn't you?
Absolutely. But, it's once.
I,
The thing about anime that a lot of people like is how different it is. And once you get past the slight weirdness and know the
mm,
tricks of the trade,
Yeah.
then it's just like any other show.
Okay.
yeah.
Um, we've talked about first chapter a lot so far, but what about ending your first chapter? How do you want to end that? What are you gonna
Oh,
say?
I would say cliffhanger personally. That would be my
Yeah,
recommendation.
I'd lean toward that as well, but it's difficult in the sense that you can't really have too much in the first chapter that would lead to like a proper cliffhanger kind of
mm,
thing. So I
I,
would
s-
use cliffhanger as the word to describe it. It's more of
I
I'm
would say.
more
Sorry.
something that is intriguing. You
yeah.
end with something
you end
that
with
makes
where
you
something's
want
a,
to
like
just
an
keep reading.
yeah. I don't know.
This character ends up in this situation. Now, how will that play out?
Or
Yeah,
this
no,
character is in this situation, and then this mysterious person gets them out and says something intriguing, and then,
Yeah.
for example.
yeah.
Honestly, it's more up to I'd probably say personal style, but I would say you want to start with a hook in your first chapter. You want to end with something that makes them want to read the next chapter.
Then after that, you've got a lot more freedom.
Yeah. After that,
Because once they've turned over to the second chapter, they're a lot likely to keep more likely to keep going to the third chapter.
yeah, the first chapter's very crucial though.
A lot of this is uh, more advice sort of intended for like web stuff and things like that, where it's like online. If it's a hardcover book, it's generally a different format because they've
Yeah.
got the book. They take it
From
for
from
granted.
from the
Like
hardcover book point of view, though, still I would say the first chapter is important because you
people can
can't
browse
just
through
stop
that
reading the
browser in the
book after the
store.
first chapter if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Also, if it's in a store, they can generally have a quick flick through the first few pages to see if it's going to catch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or before the purchase. And like, I see that every time when I go to like Dimmicks and stuff, people will have
Mm.
a not just read the blurb, but they have a read for like the first page or so, just see it's like, am I actually going to enjoy this writing style and stuff
And
like
with
that.
actual
Yeah.
books, you have more freedom in that you can do a prologue and then a first chapter, and people will
Mm,
probably most likely read both no matter what.
yeah,
Mm. And a big thing about selling books in particular is word of mouth. And if someone reads the first chapter, decides that it's shit and never looks at it again, when they talk to their friends about what they read, they're going to say, "Oh, I read the first chapter, but it was kind of shit, so I just dropped it. It wasn't
it
worth it."
catch me kind of thing.
It's the same thing with how I dropped The Witcher. If you don't like it at first, you're probably not going to like the rest of it.
And you're not going to say anything positive about it to your friends and family. So,
Yeah.
That's one. Well, I think I said it's like if once you've got a story going, I recommend always coming back and redoing your first chapter because there is always something you learn.
oh god.
Yeah,
Because
I've
so many
gone back and redone
it's
my
like,
first
the
chapter
first chapter's
before.
shit, but it gets better 5 chapters in. You're like, well, fix the first chapter and maybe I'll get there.
No,
Yeah.
you can't use that as an excuse. I hate it when writers try to use
I know,
that as an
that's what I'm saying.
excuse.
It's like come back and fix it after you've made some progress. Like, don't just go, it gets better. It's like, I want you to fix it, come back and redo it because this is the hook. But
Yeah,
this is
I've
shit.
come back and made several changes to my first chapter personally because it was there were parts of it that were pretty bad, and you can feel free to do that because
Every now and again, I get the temptation to go back and fix Face Every Shadow,
yeah.
but I don't because if I'm done with the story, then I'm done with the story, and I'm not going to go back and fix it and get
After it's
people's hopes
done,
up that I'm
that's
going to
just
go back
saying.
to it.
Every now and then, I get the temptation to go touch my Celestial Suicide Mage story, which again was a pretty big story, but I'm not gonna write fairy tale ever again. So
Well, if
yeah,
it's done, it's done. That's something different. But if it's something like it's in progress and you've kind of made some progress into it, and your first chapter, you're saying it's not that great, but wait till later. If you ever have the need to say that, fix that sodding chapter, rewrite
Yeah,
it right away.
I agree with that.
with your first chapter, you want to be able to just smile and say, "Yeah, I'm confident this
Yeah,
is
this
good.
is
I like
good
this."
enough to this will get readers in pretty much. Oh, holy
Yeah.
shit! Oh, sorry,
What?
never
I
mind.
know, right?
All right, I think we've beaten first chapter just to death, unless there's anything anybody else wants to say in particular.
No, I
Oh,
think
I
that's
got it.
covered it.
Also, stop stealing my hosting duties, asshole.
Well, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, me.
To do
I can do it.
it.
Next topic is we've kind of touched on it already a little bit, technically, but fuck it. Introducing the protagonist.
I thought that was what we just did.
It was
No, we
interesting.
just did starting chapter.
Ah, alright. Well, getting this.
So
Okay.
the protagonist in particular, because because first impressions are very important.
I have always been a fan of introducing the protagonist in the midst, like in the middle of an action kind of thing. Like
I,
rather than just kind of introducing, but I always like kind of cut like as though you've just kind of panned in while he's already in the middle of something.
that can work. I've
I don't know.
always,
That's what I've always. I don't know. For some reason, I've always enjoyed that rather than the whole like kind of like just general kind of introduction where they kind of describe him kind of thing. It's like I don't need that. I'll figure it out along the way. I like to come in just hit a flow right off the kind of just kind of
Yeah.
ease in right away
I would
rather
say
than kind of have
that's
to walk up those
Go on,
steps
guy.
before you go to
Shut up,
the
you.
side.
Hugh, shut up.
No,
Guy has been trying to interrupt you like 6 times every time he stopped. Guy, what were you
I
saying?
would say that you
I
don't have to
hear it myself.
introduce him at the best. It doesn't have to be his best moment.
Yeah.
You could do it at his very worst if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just something that's intriguing about him. You want to get that up at front.
Or maybe you start with a scene with different characters. Your main character comes in. Nobody really knows it's the main character at the moment. When the main character leaves that scene, you follow them. It doesn't have to start with the main character. And, you know, like, say, for example, you have all these awesome characters, but your main character is just this weak little scrub on the side. And it's just, you follow that character instead. But again, first impressions are important. So you want to make sure you give the reader a good idea of what your main character's like, so they know what they're getting into.
Okay, I'm gonna add an addendum to that. Introduce your main character before you introduce characters that your reader might rather want to follow.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
And you should never really leave the reader in doubt in who was the main character in this. Unless
Yeah,
that's part of the
Oh,
story. But
and
What was the coughing thing supposed to indicate? I didn't catch that.
Poe from Star Wars.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Poe was so good.
Exactly.
Anyway, Someone gonna say something. I
So
got nothing at the moment. So
so with your main character, um, you know you're gonna have to do some character development to that character. And maybe you don't, but generally it's a good idea. So you want to have if they have any sort of flaw, first chapter would be a good place to make that kind of evident.
Well,
Well,
otherwise, isn't that getting to yeah? This character, look, he's got this full, or that's his whole
yeah.
major
I
department.
mean, no, don't be so showy about it, but have enough of the personality of the character shown to be like, okay, this person is doing this. They're a bit greedy. I can see that, and you can expand on that in later chapters. But at least make sure you show a little bit of the character having something they have to deal with. You know that's again like you don't have to do
yeah,
that, but it depends on what type of story you're trying to write. If you want to write a very
yeah,
character heavy story, that might be a good idea. Uh,
yeah. You're not wrong that as introducing a character, you want to introduce their flaws as well. That's a good way to do it. I mean, look at One Piece as an example. You introduce the character, you immediately introduce a lot of their character traits. Luffy shows up. He is incredibly stupid, also incredibly immature. You meet Zoro. He is incredibly stubborn and will just basically stick to his guns, even if it's really, really stupid to do so. Nami is a greedy bitch. Usopp is a coward. You get the
and a
picture.
liar, yeah.
Get you get their character traits as quickly as possible. So then you can build on those character traits with a bit more depth afterwards.
Rather than,
You want,
I'd rather prefer that than introducing their flaws later on. You're like, where was that earlier?
mm,
That works for one particular type of story, but
Yeah,
there's a lot of other stories on it where that doesn't really work that well. Otherwise,
true.
you're just going through a list of characters. I mean, look at Bleach or something like that. They have lots of very unique characters, but eventually it's just like, who cares about them? There's too
True.
many.
But Bleach suffers from the fact that the creator just likes making new characters.
Yeah, yeah, it does.
yeah, I mean, a lot of characters I could not be able to give you a summary of their flaws like I could just now with the One Piece characters. Like, if someone could tell me the character traits of, say, for example, uh, what's the name of the lieutenant who took over uh, Ninth Squad?
Dude,
Hisagi, the guy with the 69 tattooed on his face for some reason.
Oh, oh,
Hmm.
uh,
I think so.
he's a big cool guy who wants to be like the one guy who had the 69. That's
Why
about
did they
it.
have the 69 tattooed on the face? He's apparently got very shitty taste in tattoos. Yeah,
Or
that
he's
that's a
got a very
character flaw.
particular interest in one thing.
Mm, yeah, like he introduced a bunch of characters, but he didn't expand on almost any of them.
Well, that was the whole problem with Bleach, isn't it? I mean, Naruto was driven by the story, One Piece was driven by the world, and Bleach was always about the characters. But eventually, they just got too many. It wasn't the same thing that could be expanded upon.
Yeah.
Mm,
But for your main character, I would say that yeah, if you do have a main character, because not every story does have a main character in particular, but if you do have a main character, we want to see that character develop along with the story because it focuses on that character. So having not necessarily just being like glaring flaw. Look, this character's in the very suit. They have a flaw, but at least enough of a hint of one that we can expand
yeah.
upon in the next chapter.
Let's put it this way: you give a surface view of what the character is like, and then maybe a hint of hidden depths.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See, Casey can talk. I can't.
Yes, he can. He might have happened to have a hobby about doing so for the past 2 and a bit years. Yeah, so he has gotten mildly good at this at this point. Mildly, because he apparently keeps stuttering over every third word that he says for some fucking reason. God damn it! Okay.
You're so professional.
Hmm.
But
I know, right?
yeah, and if you're going to do a not so main character driven story, this topic like doesn't really apply to you. If you want to introduce a cast of characters in the beginning, I would say,
Be very careful.
yeah,
Yeah.
be very, very careful because that you run into the situation in which there are all these characters, I know nothing about them and I care nothing about them.
Or you introduce all these characters and then you spend the next 20 chapters explaining what all of them are like.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a story like that which just actually did it well, and I can't really do it. Game of Thrones, maybe? That's
Well, Game of Thrones had perspective switches, and that's the kind of thing you'd probably need for that type of
yeah,
story.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is you would need to take your time and switch over and get to know these characters from a more personal level, and then you can see these characters interact. Uh, but just going over it in a general sense with no real direction is a big mistake.
Well, even Game of Thrones, it has hundreds of characters, but it did escalate it quite nicely. It
Yeah.
started off with a very narrow perspective, and that slowly widened. It was good for the
And then
reader like
realized
that.
mistake, just cut him away.
Sorry, what was?
In fairness, yes,
I was
Game of
thinking,
Thrones did
we
just
realized the
start
mistake.
cutting characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally. Yeah.
Start literally cutting
He
characters.
went too far. I was like, I can't handle it. Let's get rid of some.
Yeah, it's easier to focus on one main character and their journey.
Well, not even
And
that.
maybe
Like, limit yourself to like 3 kind of thing like that.
yeah.
Because it's such a common number in those kind of things. It's relatively easy to kind of switch around between that number.
Yeah.
Well,
Having 2 or 3 main characters, you know,
Mm.
is fine. I would very much appreciate it if in the next Star Wars Poe is one of those 3 main characters.
No spoilers, please.
He doesn't. There's nothing really spoiled with Poe.
It's a warning, not a complaint.
Okay.
Basically, we all like
So who
Poe.
wants to do all the spoilers right now? I'm really. I'm
See,
really.
here's the thing. I wouldn't care, except it would give me a fuck ton more work to do when editing this thing, okay?
Don't worry. If you cut it out, I'll just type it in the comments.
Anyway, anything else to say for introducing the protagonist and or characters?
I would say that there's a natural trade-off between number of characters that you're using and story flow, how fast this story is going to develop. If you want a good, smooth pacing, then you've got to have few characters at the
Yeah,
beginning.
because
Okay,
that's a pro.
smooth is not the same as, fast.
Yeah, as opposed to
Yes.
slow necessarily, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a bit of leeway on it. It's just as a general rule more than anything, I would guess.
like I run into this problem a lot because in Persona there's a lot of characters, so I have to tend to juggle a lot of them. And it gets to the point where it's like I can only focus on so many, and if I keep focusing on everyone, it's one day is going to take like 2 chapters.
I'd
So
say I'd also recommend having at least I'd say at least have like a second person who's kind of ready to be like to have a perspective, not necessarily like a protagonist if you're only having a single, but
like a
who
deuterologist.
is ready to have like a point of view, like from their point of view,
Yeah,
because the main characters sometimes you get like the reader will get tired of always seeing from that point of view. Sometimes it's nice to just have like maybe just like just a couple scenes like from another person's point of view looking in. Kind of, if I'm saying
yeah.
that right, so
Hmm.
but it's I don't know.
Having
It's like
having having another character that you can readily jump to for another perspective.
yes, like hell, it's like if the main character decides to have tantrum or whatnot and storms off, it's always nice to be able to have that character you can jump to maintain that the group's conversation that he just left, rather than have the sullen moping character point of view. You've got nothing to do there, so like just to be able to hop to somebody else as a backup.
Well, not necessarily. There is always something you can do with a mopey character because you tend to make very stupid decisions, which is good for drama,
And
as far as
If
that's concerned.
he's a mopey character who actually does something like stereotypical mope, you don't really do anything.
I'm so mopey. I'm gonna do something. Let's break something or push someone off a cliff.
I don't
well,
know if that would be classified as mopey. That's
Plot.
that's something different, I think.
Let me put it in the plot now. Quick,
I
this.
don't know, Zero. You had a very significant moment where the character got super mopey and got manipulated by the bad
Yeah,
guys.
I
You do
know.
recall that happening,
I
no?
recall that. Yeah.
There is stuff you can do when the character gets all sullen and mopey.
It's a moment of weakness.
Yeah.
So there is stuff
I'm
you
not
can
saying
do.
there's nothing you can do. I'm just saying
Hmm.
you're not always going to have something ready for that moment, or not something you haven't always
Yeah.
planned for something to happen
Sometimes the
at
Mopey
that point in
character
time.
can't do anything, or
Yeah,
nothing's going to happen to the Mopey character immediately.
yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying.
in
It's
that
always nice
time
to have
span,
that
you would
as an
just switch
option
to
to do.
somebody else.
Well,
It's just
that's
nice
fine
to
if
have that
you're
option.
working on third person, but if it's a first person story, you're kind of stuck
Yeah.
in one way.
First person, oh, I find first person so hard to write.
Yeah, it's a
It always feels like you're missing out on part of the plot because you're just stuck with that person.
Yeah.
I always
And
find
the only way I've found first person to really work in a broader story is to have it switch perspectives and be different first persons. In
Mm.
which case it's kind of jarring.
you
But
have to make it very clear when you swapped.
yeah.
I've read where it just kind of doesn't really indicate it well enough, and you just like partway through the next paragraph before you realize, wait, that's not who I was reading. Who the fuck am I reading now?
Mm.
You'd have to go back and try and figure out where the split was, and then try and determine
Well,
who you.
it can be made very, very simple by just having character name and then it
Yes,
starts.
yeah.
It's-
Well, that is simple. But this person, what did they do? They didn't really do anything. It just kind of happened. I don't even remember like like a break or anything. Just kind of suddenly swapped, and you're left thinking, what the fuck just happened here?
So
Worst way I've seen it done would be the fucking high school DxD method, as far as I'm aware. I have never seen it anywhere else in any other fandom, where they just say I character name, bloody 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 blah,
Mm,
which is really, it feels really fucking disjointed.
yeah.
yeah.
well,
But
yeah. I'd argue the first person is probably the more challenging one from a writer's
it
perspective. In
is.
that case,
It
Mm.
is most
definitely.
You
definitely.
have to fully immerse yourself in the character and make sure you're able to describe the things around you as that character would see it in a way that makes sense to the audience.
You have to fully take on their perspective of events,
Yes.
Mhm.
And
which
make sure you
means
don't drift. Because I've tried running first
mm,
person, the amount of times that I've had to go back and make sure I've actually used the correct tenses, which has always been a real pain in the ass.
mm.
That's something you have to really watch out for as well. Just a natural tendency to drift back
I
into
think
third.
High School DxD is actually told in present tense. And from the novels, it was actually told in present tense, but they
Hmm.
changed it to past so it would make more sense.
Yeah.
that might be a Japanese thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
So
more of a Japanese thing, but past tense is always the best to go because you're telling a story.
It is a lot easier to do. So much
mm,
easier.
yeah, I'm still writing Whitest Man in Skyrim in present tense. And that's interesting.
Oh, that's gotta be that. Oh man, that's
It's a
hard.
little weird.
It is.
Mm.
It is so weird. This is why I like my standard third person and past tense or omniscient third person, rather.
I've always been a fan of limited omnipotency.
Or probably that. I don't know which one mine is anymore.
It's
Yeah,
the one you write, and who cares beyond that?
yeah,
I mean,
it's my
you will
stuff.
have to care when you're doing English degree, but still.
I'll care when I start taking my actual writing class next semester and they tell me everything I know is wrong and I'm a terrible writer.
Yeah, I
That's
had
gonna be
that.
Yeah, that'll be
It's
fun.
one of my electives for that. It did not feel great.
fun. Creative writing, for one. Creative
Hmm.
writing.
Yeah, you can make mistakes. Don't ever think otherwise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just, just pray that your lecturer doesn't have a different style entirely to what you're trying to go for, because that's just very depressing when they just come at you going, "This is wrong, this is wrong." You're going, "Actually, no, I was intending to do that because that's the kind of style I'm going with. It's not your style. It's an actual established style, but it's not yours. Stop giving me shit."
Am I the only person here who hasn't done any sort of English qualification or anything?
Well, I have done it. I've done
Technically, I
something.
didn't.
I just used an elective as a throwaway
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
thought creative writing
I
would work.
I did 2 months on what would have been an English degree
Hmm.
before I got told they wouldn't pay for it anymore, which is why I hate zero.
Hey, if it makes
Asshole.
you feel any better, I'm not on any funding right now. I got cut out.
That that,
I'm paying
that
for my
does
own
make me feel
school
better.
along with
That's
me and my I'm paying with my own school along with help from my parents.
Yeah.
fair play then, mostly. Rich boy.
Ah,
You think my parents could have fucking paid for university? Are you kidding me?
I'm paying
Um,
half of it, so it's $1,800 that I
Not
have
too
to
bad.
pay for.
Actually, yeah. Wouldn't mind.
$1,800 a semester.
Yeah,
Okay, just checking.
Yeah,
rather it's $3,600 a semester. I'm trying to take 1,800 of that, which is
Ah,
tough. I already paid like
that's still like an eighth of tuition fees for a year
hmm.
in this country, but whatever.
I already paid like $800, so
Australia is
um
pretty cheap as well. I think for like a year, like per year for accounting, it's like 10 grand.
Yeah, it's 10 grand in this country, but the thing is,
10 grand,
thirty
so
six
like
hundred dollars comes to about £2,000.
I,
So
I think it's about 3.5, maybe £4,000.
see, it would cost $10,000 more if I lived on campus.
Yeah, living on campus is a rip.
oh yeah, I wasn't counting like accommodation fees or anything like that. That's just the tuition fees,
Hmm.
Yeah. See, this is
which
why
also doesn't include paying for your books.
I should just move to Sweden where they have the best education system.
Oh God, yes.
Or
To be fair,
Finland.
you could probably do it, isn't it? Aren't they in the euro?
Oh yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think they
you
are.
could do it. Your passport
If
counts.
I don't have a passport at the
What?
moment, but
I
yes.
have a passport, so I can. Actually, my mom suggested earlier, what if we got you a ticket to England so you could go see Casey? I'm like, oh no,
What do you mean you don't
I don't know.
know?
Would you put up with me? Would you put?
Uh, Probably. I have a couch you could sleep on,
Okay,
I
that's
guess.
cool. I'll go to Stoke-on-Trent.
Oh yeah, fun times. That's the holiday destination in England. Let me tell you, we have the giant gaping chasm that sits underneath my feet as I speak. Um, yeah, so you should come. That's pretty much all we got.
If I were to come, we could totally record so much stuff, though.
We could, yes. Also, I'm not kidding about the giant gaping chasm underneath my
Yeah, I
feet.
know you're not.
There was a coal mine that basically had been completely cleared out, and now the entire city is sinking.
Well, hey, we'll consider it. We can have let's hang out at Casey's Chasm place.
Yeah, great.
Just
She
wait
said,
until
"Oh,
they.
well, what if I got you a ticket to Slices?" And I'm like, "I don't want to go to his farmhouse. There's no internet connection there." And then like, "It's not catchy." So I'm like, "I'm pretty sure Catchy still lives with his family."
He does, yeah.
So it was just like, okay, I guess I'm going to Casey's if we ever get a ticket.
Yay!
All right, we had a topic, but I think it's
All
done
right, we
now.
had a topic. Okay, moving on to recommendations. Who's got a recommendation that they want to call out?
I've got
might
one.
have. Hold on, let me check.
Um, I
Just
liked
pull up.
Fairy Fencer F. It was a fun game.
Well, it's already on the fucking link
Yeah,
dump,
so
so
go play
it's
that. It was only like if you get it. When's this come out? It comes out on what day?
Saturday.
Saturday, the second. So the Steam sale's still going on. So go buy it. It's like $8.
Not bad.
It was a lot of
Yeah.
fun for $8.
Okay. Uh, I just need to check what the actual stories I read were. So that's one. Hmm. Okay, this one was right. Okay, I've got a recommendation. Uh, my recommendation is uh, Dodging Prison and Stealing Witches dash Revenge is Best Served Raw by Led Von E. So it's a Harry Potter time travel story, etc. It's also Harry Potter gets sent to Azkaban story. It is also a Other Boy Who Lived story. Surprisingly, it does none of those badly. So, uh, intro of the story: Harry has been sent to Azkaban. Voldemort wins. Everything's shit. Harry gets sent back in time. Twist is his brother, whose name I forget because it wasn't really important until the very most recent chapter, uh, had already been sent back in time to try and fix the whole Voldemort winning thing, but failed at it.
Okay.
So, what has become the twist of this story? Well, I say twist, it's not really twist, but the trick of this story is that it is basically dueling time travelers at this point, or is that's where it's getting to at this point.
That's fun.
Yeah. So Harry gets sent back like 3 years before what's his name gets sent back. So Harry has spent those 3 years basically stealing all of his brother's allies, turning all of them against him, and then, as of the most recent chapter, his brother comes back, finds everyone hates him, and is completely confused as to what the fuck is going on. So I really like how he's put this together because it's actually quite well done. Like, none of the concepts that are really fucking common concepts for Harry Potter stories have been done poorly. Like, it doesn't waste time with the whole, oh, I've been sent to Azkaban, blah, blah, everyone hates me. Doesn't waste any time on that. Just basically use it as a springboard for Harry being a complete dickhead to just about everyone. By which I mean just manipulating the crap out of everything around him. So, that's good stuff. Time travel, fine, whatever. It's used as well as it can be used, as you ever see it used. And the other boy who lived thing is used for comedy purposes, which is great. So, yeah, I very much recommend this. It's pretty cool and has been going since October 23rd and updated on December 27th. So, still very active, and it is 62,000 words at the moment. So, 62,000 words in 2 months. It's not bad. It's pretty good pace. So, check this one out if you're a fan of that kind of story. Anyone else got anything?
Might have, hold on. I've been reading a Naruto fic. It's an old one now. It's a Sage. It's about half a million words. Yeah, but first time I've read it, and yeah, it's pretty good actually. It's still a good story. It's pretty old now. He's got a good pace going on it, and he's not afraid to kill off people. It's kind of a crossover between Avatar, but yeah, still a good story.
Cool. Anything else to say about it?
Well, pretty much covered it, I guess.
Okay, because I've never heard anything about this, and you haven't actually said much about what it's about.
Well, it's basically about Naruto gets. How am I going to explain it? It says Naruto gets a really big power up, essentially.
Okay,
That's
it.
Yeah, that's the crux of it, I guess.
Okay,
That's the whole premise.
fair enough. So, okay. Does it take it anywhere interesting?
Yeah,
Or
it does. I mean, the guy's not afraid to kill off important people in the story. He's good with that.
cool, cool beans. Okay, and Hugh, you got anything?
Yes, I'm just deciding which one. It's generally an author, ProfFartBurger.
Okay, what? You gonna spell
Yeah,
that for me, or
I'll
link it
link
in
it up.
in
Hold
the
on.
chat? Thank you.
It's pretty much just doing reimaginings on Mass Effect. I'm tossing up between the first one and Hope Sword. Hope Sword probably I'd say it's a good intro. It's pretty much instead of meeting the Turians first, they met the Batarians, and they met us when we are pretty much now, and it's just them essentially just kicking the shit out of it. So it's pretty much us fighting a losing war that it's just impossible to win, but it's just a gradual kind of thing, which I
Right.
quite enjoyed. Instead of that whole general thing where humans just come in, kick shit across the board and whatnot, it's just flipped it where we just can't thing, just kind of going out with doing as much damage as we can, like point where kind of they're like the other races kind of like not they're doing their own thing, just pretend until we start nuking their ships that are in orbit, and that brings all the others going. Well, they've got nukes, so that can't go. That's just not cool. We're gonna have to go help the Batarians now. It's a nice play. I enjoyed it from just humans that just aren't all powerful like they tend to get done in fan fiction.
Yeah, I did once read a story that was basically Echo. um, so it was a story where basically, fucking Christ.
Try to get past that third
Who's
word.
Yeah, a story where the humanity basically does just get taken over by the Batarians
Mm.
in the First Contact War and just becomes, you know, a source of slaves as a species.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a depressing story.
It is rather depressing. That's one. In one of the ways, that's kind of why I like it. It's much more. It's much darker than most
Mm.
stuff you get.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't know.
very bleak story.
Huh?
A very bleak story,
Yes.
kind of thing.
Yeah. And like, but then he also has the first one, which is almost the opposite. But they're both quite long. Hopeless War, he's done a pause at the moment. At the end of the arc, at about 125,000 words. And then the first war is actually complete, and he's got a sequel up. The first war was 200,000, and the sequel is currently 340,000. I'd recommend those.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool
so
beans.
just follow the author. Skip his first story because that's a pile of crap. I'm hearing the call, but the rest of it, I'd say give it a go.
Fair play.
Oh, hey, and everybody should go buy Honey Pop. It's only $3.40.
I remember you guys saying that all those months ago.
Fantastic. Best Let's Play ever.
Mm-hmm.
The bet I thought the funny thing was like literally I'd got the game and played it, and then like the next like within 2 days your first episode came up, and I was like, holy crap, I just played that.
Oh, that was a piece of art. When's Honey Pop 2?
Uh,
Well, it was pretty successful, so there should be one at some point,
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
imagine.
hoping there is. So I can let's play that.
let's see.
uh,
Okay.
I think they've well, no. There was a petition thing going around, but apparently that got killed. I don't know why.
Oh,
I'm sorry, they're not likely to do it. They're just gone in for a new game entirely, apparently.
okay. What's the new game?
I don't know. They have yet to reveal. Apparently,
Oh,
they're set to reveal their new game.
okay.
Hmm. Wait, no, but they didn't. What the fuck? Hold on. I don't know.
What?
I'll have to Google more, but I don't know. Apparently, the set to reveal happened back in August, which means they should have done it by now, but I don't see anything on my cursory search.
Okay. Oh well. So that's the episode, I guess. So, Happy New Year and shit. Whatever.
Wow,
Uh,
sounds so enthused.
yeah. I don't really care about New Year. It's not a big deal.
Okay,
I'd like to thank everybody for listening to the Fandom Flux Podcast, episode 116. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can do so through the YouTube channel through the comments. Please donate on Patreon if you feel so inclined. You could get a guest spot on the podcast like Hugh has, or you could get a commission
are we
of
revoking
whatever
that
you
one
want
time? Are we revoking that one-time thing only? We had
once a year.
Okay, so once a year. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be
I thought it was a
2016.
one-time thing only until I started doing donate again, and then Casey goes, you can come back," and I was like, "Oh, that's nice, thank you."
Well, it's next year in
It
a
is.
couple days,
No.
in a few hours.
Oh my god!
So
Ah!
if you want to donate $20 and get on here, sure. Let's get everybody in here.
Yeah.
I just realized for
We'd
me
like to
it's
see
not
all.
the
We'd like to
365.
see all you guys again.
Ah.
So, all right. So,
Okay. Uh, yeah. So once again, thank you for listening to the Fandom Flux Podcast, episode 116. Bye now.
Bye.
bye.
No.
Wait, does this
Guy
mean
says bye.
My mic was still muted. Sorry.
Yeah, it was.
Wait?
I was wondering
So
why
does
it
this
didn't
mean that?
respond.
Shall we start
Does
again?
this mean?
Yeah, let's start again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Fandom Flux Podcast, episode 116.
Wait, does this mean that in a few hours Hugh can be back on here again?
Actually,
Pretty much.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's what I was just saying. if we're going by my time, I already fucked up and I have to wait another year.
But no, we're going by our time.
Yes!
We're going by our
Then
time,
I,
so don't
then I
worry.
have my guest appearances saved up because I paid like $60 in the last couple months.
Yeah.
I prepaid this shit.
Okay, the shit is over. Good